Hear first these words of the prophet Isaiah. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city, our walls and ramparts are the Lord. Open the gates, that the righteous nation that keeps faith may enter in. Thou, O Lord, wilt keep in perfect peace the man who trusts in thee. Trust in the Lord always, for the Lord God is an everlasting rock. For the Lord brings down those who think they live in an exalted and secure city. He levels that city to the ground and casts it down into dust, that the oppressed and the poor may tread it underfoot. The way of the righteous is justice. Thou, O Lord of justice, hast made smooth the path of righteous. In the path prescribed by thy laws, O Lord, we wait upon thee. Thou, whose name is known and remembered from of old, art our heart's desire. This is the word of the Lord.
Hear next these words of blessed Paul the Apostle. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say, rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think of these things. These things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do. And the God of peace shall be with you. This is the word of the Lord.
Dominus vobiscum, et cum spiritu tuo, oremus. Pater noster, qui es in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in caelo et in terra, panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dominamus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo, nam tuum es regnum et potentia et gloria in saecula. Amen. Welcome everyone to the concluding exercises of a memorable year. We have spent this year together teaching and learning, competing and playing, striving and daring, succeeding and failing, growing and changing. Together we have made this school a great and good one, I'm bold to say, and there is much to celebrate. Today, Prize Day, marks the conclusion of the 375th year of the oldest school in continuous existence in North America. Our purpose for gathering today is to recognize discernible excellence in all areas of school life, academic and extracurricular. In singling out certain prize winners, we are intending to affirm the highest standards of schoolboy endeavor. We do this even though we know that others out there may be more deserving of congratulations, for they have struggled mightily, come far, taken risks, and been honorable boys. To you goes the faculty's admiration and congratulations. In an extraordinary year, it has been particularly difficult to select the prize recipients, the select few who will be recognized this morning. Fasten your seatbelts and pull up another energy drink. Here we go. We begin with the athletic awards. In 2019-2020, 4 out of 6 varsity teams had winning records. In the fall, cross country continued its impressive run by capturing another ISL title and finishing second at New England's. This was on the heels of last season's New England Championship and second-place ISL finish, and a remarkable 2017 season where the team finished undefeated, capturing both the league and New England championships. The team's dual meet record over the last 3 seasons is an amazing 43 wins and 2 losses. Varsity soccer compiled an 8-5-3 record in an especially competitive ISL this fall, earning the team the ISL's Wiedergott Improvement Plate, which is given to the school whose record improves most dramatically from the previous season. The season had numerous highlights, including a last-minute goal at St. George's to earn an impressive 5-4 victory, 3 hard-fought ties against tournament-bound teams at Brooks, at BB&N, and at Rivers, and impressive wins against Tabor Academy and St. Sebastian's. RL's season performance brought it within a veritable whisker of earning a spot in the prestigious New England Prep Tournament. In the winter, varsity wrestling finished the regular season with a 15-5 record and went on to host the Graves Kelsey tournament, for which RL received great acclaim, finishing 4th, placing 7 wrestlers, including 2 boys, as tournament champions. Evan Kiselev at 152 pounds and Javi Rios at 220 pounds. 6 wrestlers qualified for New England's and 2 boys for the National Prep Tournament. Varsity basketball had its best season in years and finished with an overall record of 17-6, including a second-place ISL finish with a mark of 11-4. The team was selected as the number 5 seed for the New England Class B tournament, where it faced number 4 seed St. Luke's School, eventually losing a tightly contested tilt 57-47. Teams across all grades in 2019-2020 compiled an excellent record of 194 wins, 83 losses, and 17 ties. If RL were a batter, he would be hitting .659. Our overall fall record was 94, 35, and 13, and our overall winter record was 148 and 4. What remarkable consistency. If we had been able to mount a spring season, I'm sure that the accolades would be even more impressive. The Varsity Team Awards recognize in each varsity sport an outstanding individual contribution by a member of the graduating class. The fall varsity sports winners are: the Cross Country Award this year goes to Liam Phelps O'Connor. This year's Football Award winner is Ejiro Egodogbare. This year's Soccer Award goes to John William Cloherty. The Winter Varsity Sports winners are, in basketball, Charles Rutledge Weitzel. The Hockey Prize is given in memory of William Fallon Clapp of the class of 1904. This year's award goes to Michael Kenneth Jones. The Wrestling Award this year goes to Matthew Michael Safale, Jr. The Spring Varsity Sports winners are the Baseball Prize, given in memory of Harold Philbrick Driscoll of the class of 1913. The winner of this year's Baseball Award is Joseph Patrick Ryan. The Lacrosse Award is given by families of the class of 1984 in loving memory of 3 members of the class who died in college: Michael A. Hannon, Kevin Brennan Mullen, and Matthew L. Van Orman. This year's recipient is Colin Robert Bergstrom. The Tennis Award goes to Joseph Michael Barrett. And the Track and Field Award goes to Reed Fisher Corliss. Now it's my pleasure to present our most prestigious athletic awards to impressive members of Class 1. The ISL Award. This award, created just a few years ago, seeks to acknowledge an athlete who has contributed broadly to the athletic life of the school. This award is relatively new. It was created, however, to signal an appreciation for a 3-sport athlete in an era of increasing specialization. Our winner made his mark in 3 sports. He dominated the gridiron from his lineman position, turning opponents head over heels and earning all ISL and all state distinctions. In our game against St. Mark's, I saw him at the goal line turn an unsuspecting player ass over tea kettle. The poor boy landed at Middlesex. During the hoop season, he bounded, well, perhaps not exactly bounded, let's say arose off the bench to provide much-needed punch in the number 6 position. He did his job along the way, often intimidating frail opponents as he crunched them and then helped them up from the floor. No one will ever forget his death-defying feat before the family night crowd, in which he added insult to Noble's injury by sinking a 3-point shot as the shot clock expired. The fieldhouse, in response, never has felt so electric. Finally, our hero would have brandished the discus, shot put, and javelin on behalf of the track and field squad. Co-captain of that team, he was New England champion and the discus and bronze medal winner in the shot put last year. Doubtless, given a chance this season, he would have ascended to the top of the discus record board, eclipsing a performance that has stood since 2001. I know he was also eager to try a skedaddle in the 100 meters. This young man is a powerful performer, dedicated to his sports and especially his teams and teammates. During his time with us, he tried a few new things, dedicated himself to getting good at them, and ended up dominating. As fierce as he is on field, court, or throwing pitch, he is otherwise kind, friendly, self-effacing, and collaborative. I'm glad this is virtual today, because if he hugged me on the Romanier stage, I doubt that I could continue. Please join me in congratulating this year's winner of the Isl Award of Excellence, a big man with a big heart, Ejiro Ego Dogbare. The Scholar Athlete Award. Mens sana in corpore sano. That classical precept is one of the most enduring values of our school. Emblazoned on the wall of the fitness center, this declaration suggests our commitment to a program in which physical expression, competition, and teamwork are developed and celebrated across our interscholastic spectrum. This year's winner is impressively a scholar of the highest order. While his just posted final grades are all one kind of A or another, it is his genuine love of learning, reputation as a first-rate thinker, and consistently collaborative and earnest approach to each and every class that earns his teachers' greatest respect. One teacher piped in, quote, "His unabashed curiosity inspired others to dig deeply too," end quote. Our winner's contagious influence is felt elsewhere as well, especially on the teams he has played on and led over the years. He is also an athlete of the highest order. Elected a 2-sport varsity captain, he earns his teammates' respect as a stalwart competitor. Last week, the ISL coaches awarded him the league's foremost honor in lacrosse, the 2020 Bob Scott Award. Much of his career has been spent on the sidelines, victimized regularly with devastating injuries. He played as long as he could, often misleading his coaches about the pain he was enduring in order to do all possible for his football and lacrosse teams. And that way, he led and served, and so too, in his most prominent position, has he done the same. Twice elected his class president, he has an easygoing way of catalyzing his classmates on behalf of worthy causes. Perhaps his finest hour in this regard was last year's fantastic May Day. That effort was notable not just for the assiduous organization that led to a day of fun for all, but it represented the work of a deft leader, skilled at getting everyone involved in an effort that brought the class of 2020 together. For all that, and especially for his chipper attitude and quiet courage, this year's Scholar Athlete Award goes to Colin Robert Bergstrom. The Sportsmanship Award. At RL, we like to win. I think that's true of everyone. We also like to compete fairly, to work hard, to earn our success, and to represent our beloved school well. Interspersed with all that is a commitment to fair play and a friendly, welcoming spirit. Our winner this year is a scrappy competitor in all 3 seasons. He battles in every circumstance in which he finds himself. In football, he is fearless, exacting more from his modest frame than even the most courageous would suggest. In the spring, he is a classic leadoff hitter, setting the tone for the rest of the roster. But it is in wrestling that he lines up evenly with those his size, and at which he has had a most distinguished career. Our winner has advanced to New England's 2 years in a row, thanks to his stellar performances in the Graves Kelsey. but the magic of his approach is felt all season long. Elected a captain by his teammates, he brings determination, skill, and joy to every day's practice. He has not had an easy life, but no one exudes a brighter attitude about his fortunate fate here, surrounded by faithful friends, playing and representing RL, a school he loves. A determined scholar and high-octane member of the tripod staff, he offers his friendliness not only to every man, woman, and child in the school, but also reliably and in a blast from the past. He offers that freely and genuinely to competitors who join us from other schools. He's so generous that he even gave away one of the letters of his first name. By now you know that the winner of the Sportsmanship Award is the irrepressible Matthew Michael Sofia. Best athlete. There is widespread speculation about certain awards. I imagine year after year that best athlete is the one that generates the greatest opinion. Usually, however, there is little doubt about who the best athlete is. There might be an over-under concerning this year's horse race, however, and for good reason. It's because many of us believe that indeed it was too close to call. And as a grammar teacher who believes that best signals a particular, discrete, single person, I am nonetheless delighted to start by saying that two wonderful athletes in this class will share this award. Now, I'll bet your concerns have been allayed. Both arrived on this campus as 60s and gave strong evidence during that year of what their more mature athletic selves would realize when they got to the varsities of their sports. Blessedly, as they have made their marks on 4 different teams, which have benefited prodigiously from their contributions. They were the captains of their respective teams, and they both decided that, like certain strange species, they would come to life in the winter and spring, confounding the elements and the spirits of athletic fans everywhere. The first of our celebrants played in 94 varsity hockey games. As a senior, he led the team in scoring, a capstone to a career in which he earned 74 points on 29 goals and 45 assists. He earned a spot on the All-ISL hockey team. In the spring, he turned his attention to the diamond, where he covered the battery in the corners, serving as pitcher, catcher, first baseman, and third baseman. In each instance, he defended seamlessly and brought a big bat to the plate. It was as a perennial All-ISL pitcher, however, that he made his biggest mark. His sophomore year, he had a 2.65 ERA with 38 Ks over 29 innings pitched. Last year, his ERA was 0.54. 38 innings pitched, 31 Ks, earning a 5-1 record. His efforts on the mound, on the field, at the plate, and in the dugout inspired his teammates to vie for the league championship. His stablemate worked his magic on the hardwood as varsity basketball captain, an All-ISL pick, and an All-New England selection. He is only the 6th 1,000-point scorer in RL history. While most of his production was thanks to his physical, relentless battling underneath, he could be counted on to seal a three-pointer once or twice in every game. He averaged 18 points and 10 rebounds in his senior campaign. Our winner's spirit, drive, intensity, and resilience led his team to compete in the New Englands for the first time in many years. As the snow and ice melted, he turned his attention to Schoolhouse Field, where since freshman year he dominated the varsity lacrosse team's efforts as a premier defenseman. Amazingly, he also tallied 2 goals and an assist, along with causing 33 turnovers and yielding 47 ground balls. His play for RL earned first-team All-ISL distinction his junior year. His play for a host of outside teams resulted in all sorts of honors, including an invitation to try out for the USA U19 select team. Such appreciation was foreshadowed when he was ranked 13th in the country after his sophomore summer. Imagine what he would have accomplished this spring. Now, of course, you know who the best athletes are, and I'm sure you'd agree with me that I would never want to play against them and would always want to play on the same team. Join me in congratulating 2 protean athletes and 2 laudable leaders, Joey Ryan and Charlie Weitzel. We come next to prizes in the various academic areas, as well as recognition for some extracurricular endeavors and activities. The David Taggart Clark Prizes for Greek and Latin Declamation are awarded annually for the best Greek and Latin declamations on Exilano Day. We all witnessed the marvelous work done by 3 boys leading to their distinctions. The winner of the Lower School Latin Declamation Prize is Daniel T. Stepanian. The winner of the Upper School Latin Declamation Prize is John William Wilkinson. And the winner of the Greek Declamation Prize is David Harley Lafond. The Cameron A. Rylance Music Prize is given in memory of Cameron A. Rylance, who was music master from 1960 to 1962. The winner has been the anchor for the low end of our choral sound in the rhythm section of our jazz groups for many years. He joined the newly formed jazz combo halfway through his 60th year, and he never looked back. A drummer can make or break a band, and for the past 5.5 years, jazz combo and big band have been made on the strength of his playing, his enthusiasm and passion for the music, and his ambitious can-do attitude. The rat-a-tat-tat of his drumming is complemented by his deep and resonant voice, which provided the foundation to the latonic sound over the past 2 years. The winner of this year's music prize is Ian Ross Richardson. The Ralph F. Brooks Art Prize was established by Mrs. Brooks in 1920 in memory of her son, Lieutenant Brooks, who gave his life in the service of his country in the Great War. Mr. Buckley explains, quote, "Winning the art prize was not what I expected from the student when I taught him in Arts 9. He always put forth a strong effort in class, and slowly he began to realize that he was falling in love with the process. While taking applied art as a junior, he developed his work to a higher and higher level. He then began experimenting with sculpture, and that stimulated his creative juices to the point where he produced one exceptional work after another. He enjoyed the degree of difficulty that sculpture requires," end quote. This young man loves what he does, and he does it well. This year's winner of the Art Award is Matthew Michael Safale, Jr. The Philip A. Kay Prize, established by Marion Kay in memory of her husband, father of Richard A. Kay, class of 41, and William G. Kay, class of 50, is given to a member of the school who has shown himself to be a consistently fine craftsman in the industrial arts. The award goes this year to an especially skillful woodworker, Andrew Jeffrey Streckenbach. The Joan M. Regan Service Prize, established in honor of Mrs. Regan on the occasion of her retirement in 2011, honors her catalytic leadership of all sorts of service initiatives during her 10 years at RL. The award goes this year to a seasoned participant in every aspect of service. He has consistently given of himself to organize and execute service programs that define Roxbury Latin's commitment to the community at large. This year, the Service Award goes to Timothy Paul Smith. The Class of 1976 Dramatics Prize is awarded annually to that member of the school who has made an outstanding contribution to dramatics. There are a number of boys who would be eligible for the Dramatic Prize, but none who has been in every possible senior play and junior play during his time at RL, and who has given of his time to the backstage work of building sets or painting backdrops for the productions, in addition to his dedication to rehearsals. But the point isn't just that our winner showed up every time. He always seemed completely at ease in whatever role he played. It's a truism that the best actors are finding some part of themselves in every role and letting you see that. It's why we think it's somehow a dismissal of their skill to level the criticism that they are just playing themselves. Mr. Nelson praised our winner, saying, quote, "He always seemed completely at ease on stage. 2 performances stand out to me. As Colonel Markinson in A Few Good Men, he had to play a man whose sense of right and compassion for an enlisted man bullied to death causes him to kill himself when he thinks he could have done more to prevent the death. He played Markinson's angst with an economy of emotion and gesture that was quite moving. The other role was ironically a character named Easy, the lorry driver who appears in both worlds of Stoppard's Dogs Hamlet, Cahoots Macbeth. Our award winner had to be bilingual for that role, fluent in English and doggerel. Yes, I can't resist. I'm going to say he made it look easy. The last thing I'd say about him is that after every rehearsal, he would ask me if there was anything he could do to help with cleanup or restoring the stage behind the curtain. Then he would begin his hour-long commute home." End quote. This year's Dramatics Award goes to Austin Stanley Manning. The Gerhard Rader Prize in International Relations commemorates the life and work of Gerhard Rader, who was for 28 years, from 1947 to 1975, a history master at this school. The president of Model UN makes an enormous personal sacrifice each year for the greater good of the organization. And very little of what the president does is transparent to the rest of the community, as there is no cheering section of fans. Our award winner made significant, enduring innovations to the RL Model UN program, most notably by increasing the level of preparation for our representatives for interscholastic conferences. This year's prize winner, an enthusiastic student of international affairs and the president of Model UN, is Joseph Michael Barrett. The Albert W. Kelsey Debate Prize is awarded in honor of Albert Burt Kelsey, for 29 years an English master at the school and RL's longtime debate coach and wrestling coach, the Kelsey of Graves Kelsey. The greatest debaters are the best listeners, notes Mr. Thompson. When you look into the eyes of this year's debate prize winner as he listens thoughtfully to his opponent in the middle of an impassioned debate, you can see the wheels turning in his mind as he contemplates his next verbal parry. Then suddenly he lifts the veil from his opponent's argument and distinguishes it with a few carefully chosen words or a question that cuts to the crux. But this debater will never dance on the corpse of his opponent. He's too good-natured for that. A great debater, yes, but his greatest passion is comedic speech. The after-dinner speech, to be more precise. How can a common, ordinary, everyday debater become a world-class rapper, you ask? How indeed, as Lil Icy Homeboy can the inventor? This year's debate prize winner made it all very clear. You must pick a suitable name, learn the lingo of the rap master, build up your public image, and master the art of the concert. Quote, if humor is a sign of intelligence, adds Mr. Thompson, then our prize winner this year is Comedic Genius. He knows how to hit the funny bone over and over again. His material builds the crescendo moments that are side-splitting. Amassing awards at regional and international competitions over his debate and public speaking career, including the International Independent Schools Public Speaking Competition and the World Individual Debating and Public Speaking Championships. But more important, serving the many in our program with aplomb and efficiently, ultimately as president, end quote. This year's debate prize winner is the redoubtable, the quick-witted Avi Benjamin Attar. The Publications Award is presented to that member of the graduating class who has made an outstanding contribution to one or more of the school's publications. This year's Publications Prize goes to two boys in supporting roles who spent hours and hours, night after night, working together to ensure that the yearbook would be a representation of the class of 2020 that they can be proud of. Their perseverance and commitment were truly outstanding. They are Edward Francis Conley and Austin Stanley Manning. We come next to those prizes that recognize outstanding academic achievement. Please hold your applause, even in your kitchens, bedrooms, studies, and living rooms, until all prize winners in a given group are announced. On second thought, clap all you want. The Joseph A. Cicerno French Dieters are the gift of Mary and Henry Cicerno in honor of their brother, master here for 39 years, from 1918 to 1957, and recognize excellence in French. This year's winners are, in Class 5, Lucas Eric Vander Elst. In Class 4, Luke Andrew Wilkinson. In Class 3, George Finnegan Madison. In Class 2, Thomas Andrew Gaziano. And in Class 1, Jonathan Francis Weiss. For the 11th time, we honor with the headmaster's Spanish Dieters those who have distinguished themselves in Spanish. The winners are, in Class 5, John Louis Tompros. In Class 4, Robert Sebastian Zabin. In Class 3, Alex Yin. In Class 2, Benjamin Harding Crawford. And in Class 1, Liam Phelps O'Connor. The Isabelle M. Fowler History Prizes were established in 1909 by a gift in memory of Isabelle M. Fowler and are awarded annually to the member of each class who demonstrates outstanding achievement in history. This year's winners are in Class 6, Lucas Christopher Connors. In Class 4, Ryan Giacomo Frigerio. In Class 3, Francisco Luis Gutierrez. In Class 2, Robert Lawrence Luca, and in Class 1, Andrew Zhang. The Richard M. Whitney Science Theaters were established by its students and former students to commemorate the life and work of Richard Merrill Whitney, master for 43 years, from 1936 to 1979. It recognizes excellence in science. This year's winners are in Class 6, Brendan Lennon Reichart; in Class 5, Ryan Jin Lin; in Class 3, David Sullivan; in Class 2, David Arthur D'Alessandro III. The N. Henry Black Science Theater commemorates N. Henry Black, science master from 1900 to 1924, and later professor of chemistry at Harvard College, and is awarded annually to a member of the graduating class for excellence in science. This year, the award goes to Andrew Zhang. The Donald L. Whittle Dieters, given Dr. Bernard E. Simon, commemorate the life of Donald L. Whittle, a Roxbury Latin grandfather. They are awarded for excellence in mathematics. This year's winners are, in Class 6, Raj Saha; in Class 5, Justin Yamaguchi; in Class 4, William Delone Hutter; in Class 3, Vishnu Sankar Amani; in Class 2, Rohil Dhaliwal. The Isl F. McCormick Mathematics Prize honors Isl F. McCormick, mathematics master from 1905 to 1912. It is awarded annually to a member of the graduating class for highest achievement in mathematics. This year, the award goes to Christopher Grant Zhu. The Anna Cabot Lowell Dieters in English, established by a bequest in the will of Mrs. Anna Cabot Lowell, are awarded annually for excellence in English. This year's winners are, in Class 6, Francis Xavier Paul Martin; in Class 5, John Lewis Tomprose; in Class 4, Justin Shaw; in Class 3, Theodore Wu Tang; in Class 2, Ethan Notway Fan; and in Class 1, Hari Narayanan. The Trustees Greek Dieters are awarded annually by the Board of Trustees to recognize excellence in Greek. This year's winners are, in Class 3, Theodore Ludwig Glaser; in Class 2, Benjamin Lindemann Brasher; and in Class 1, David Harley Lafond. The Anna Cabot Lowell Dieters in Latin, established by a bequest in the will of Mrs. Anna Cabot Lowell, are awarded annually for excellence in Latin. This year's winners are, in Class 6, Omar Fayez Rahman; in Class 5, Eric Grant Zhu; in Class 4, James Abbott McCurley; in Class 3, Vishnu Sankar Amani; in Class 2, Daniel James Son Friedman; and in Class 1, John Gerald Harrington. Major prizes for boys in Class 1 are awarded at the closing exercises, but it is our custom to award 4 major prizes today on Prize Day to boys in Class 2. The Holy Cross Book Prize, a gift from our own Mrs. Toby O'Brien, is awarded to that member of the second class who has shown evidence of excellent achievement and who has exhibited a strong sense of commitment within the school and community through a sincere concern for others and a responsible attitude in all his endeavors. This award is traditionally given to someone in Class 2 who has distinguished himself not for his brains, or should I say not just for his brains, but because of his heart. This year's winner has a great heart. He is thoughtful in both senses of the word, reflective, analytical, questioning, as well as kind, generous, complimentary. Most of us in our daily urgencies and imperatives fail to wonder what it's all about. What's the fuss? Why the hurry? Why am I here? Not just at RL, but on this planet. Not so for our winner. Indeed, our prize winner is so good in part because he is so thoughtful. Gifted with a good mind, he puts it to impressive use on behalf of a set of academic interests, all of which at one time or other speak to him and are anything but formulaic. His menu is for this year and next, I bet, unlike that of anyone else, with engineering, computer science, and art history among the mix. He is an accomplished scholar, but never eager to just be good at something. He wants to know the whys and wherefores of whatever it is he's studying. Such thoughtful engagement informs his extracurricular commitments as well, with sterling efforts on behalf of JVB Soccer as their captain, setting, quote, a serious but lighthearted tone for practice and games, end quote. As an avid Model UN participant, as a creative robot maker on behalf of the Robots program, and especially as an actor in A Few Good Men. In that area of school life, our winner's mind, body, and spirit are fully utilized as he animates characters the likes of the unseemly Jonathan Kendrick. A leader among our thespians, our winner earns Mr. Nelson's praise for his, quote, commitment and energy and work rate. He gives it his all, end quote. In his advisor letter, Mr. Poyman notes that our prize earner is a fan of, quote, doing the right thing when no one is looking, end quote. Indeed, that unwavering sense of integrity married to authenticity and empathy and kindness mark our winner's character. It is why, in large part, the Holy Cross Book Prize goes this year to John Andrew Jake Carroll. The Brown University Book Award is given annually to that member of the next graduating class who combines notable academic achievement, including ability in English expression, both written and spoken, with outstanding personal qualities. This year's winner is a student who has made his mark across the school's various offerings. He is first and foremost a scholar of the highest order, contributing mightily to the fortunes of all his classes. He is, in particular, a lover of language of all sorts, English, Latin, French, and his mother tongue as well. And in addition to marveling all of his teachers at his consistently high-level achievements, he has earned particular praise for his own written work in English. Dr. Wilson reflected that he is, quote, a remarkable young writer who brings a serene, gracious, and sagacious presence to the page. Likewise, he brings a similarly impressive presence to our very strong section of English 11. He offers his own exegesis and commentary with acuity, end quote. His writing has graced both Tripod and Forum and in outside publications as well. This summer, he was destined to attend the prestigious Iowa Young Writers Studio. Gifted with the spoken word additionally, though slightly more parsimonious in his volume here, he serves as a leader of our debate team, earning highest laurels a few times this season. His sonorous voice is heard elsewhere as well, most notably on behalf of the harmonious renderings of both the Glee Club and the Latonics. And he lends a hand in other realms, working with the French Club, Model United Nations, as tennis manager, and as a tutor and admission tour guide. Most important, our winner is a young man with a remarkably friendly, selfless, gentle, generous disposition. I know that I, like many others, am a member of the fan club. The Brown Book Award goes this year to Ethan Notway Fan. The Dartmouth Book Award is given to a member of the second class who has demonstrated intellectual leadership and has made a positive contribution to the extracurricular life of the school. Sometimes a leader need not be outspoken to be effective. He speaks by his deeds. Still waters run deep. This year's winner is one such person. A conscientious, ambitious, powerful academician, he earns his teacher's praise for his thoughtful approach. Mr. Poyman exclaimed, quote, he is not only a good student, he is also a good person, one of the most generous-hearted, modest, and unassuming boys in Class 2. Although he is immensely talented in so many areas, he never sees the need to toot his own horn, content, rather, to let his accomplishments speak for themselves without taking credit for them, end quote. Among his accomplishments is satisfactorily completing the rare feat of a jump from Latin 2-3 to AP Latin 5 with nary a whimper. Though he may not figuratively toot his own horn, indeed, among his many talents is his ability to do that very thing, albeit sweetly and tunefully, on behalf of the jazz band and the select jazz combo. So, too, is he active on behalf of MUN, Spanish Club, as a tutor of the senior citizen tech crew, and as an especially charming admission tour guide. Where his horn should be tooted, even figuratively, is on behalf of his athletic exploits, as one of the fleet-footed quintet at the head of the pack in virtually all the varsity cross-country team's accomplishments last season. He placed 10th in the ISL championship race, contributing importantly to our first-place victory. He earned 11th in the New England championship, sealing our second-place win there. For a significant achievement, he was named to the All-ISL team for the second time, as well as to the All-NEPSAC team. Most important, his teammates admired his accomplishments, work ethic, supportive, self-effacing nature so much that they elected him a co-captain for next year's campaign. A lasting image for me of this champion's grit is seeing him in the ice bath as a result of heat prostration in the Humid ISL Championships at Nobles a year ago. He has heart and a commitment to excellence in whatever he undertakes. That he achieves all that he does with such a sweet nature earns our special admiration. The Dartmouth Book Prize goes this year to William Quinn Donovan. Finally, we come to the presentation of the Harvard Book Prize. The Harvard Club Book Prize, endowed by Hugh Nawn, 1907, and Hugh Nawn, Jr., 1947, is awarded annually to that boy in the next to graduating class who, by virtue of character, scholastic excellence, and achievement in other constructive activity, best exemplifies the traditional ideal of American citizenship. The child is father to the man. That well-worn proverb suggests that a person's characteristics are often revealed early on in one's life. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they are not. For our Harvard Prize winner, indeed most everything we like and admire about him was evident early on. A conscientious student, he is admired for his willingness to take risks, to venture a point, to fill an awkward silence. More often than not, when he does speak, he does so to clarify, to extend, and often to acknowledge the work of a classmate, to build in a complimentary fashion on another. He happens also to get mostly A's, working hard to master and wield knowledge. Several other boys in his class are as scholarly as he, but few so convincingly view the classroom as a crucible for reflection and teamwork. Outside the classroom, our winner has been active in any number of arenas. At Nyman, the Model UN Confab in Washington, D.C., he demonstrated a persuasive ability through his representation of the UK to convince others of his point of view. He won the Best Delegate Award. During the winter season, he demonstrated his courage and willingness to try something different, an unnecessary and rare gesture from one as talented and affirmed as he. Nonetheless, he signed on to the wrestling team, putting his brawn and pride in peril every single day. What a positive influence he was on the whole operation, how consequential he was in setting the mood for competition, improvement, and fun. Perhaps his most obvious carryover from his fame as a younger boy was his work on the Smith Theater stage. There, as Lionel Kaffee in A Few Good Men, he elevated the production and enabled theater to do what it's supposed to do: challenge and entertain. Much of his sterling work as an actor is complemented by his leadership of a cast. In that regard, his example is compelling. First off book, despite having the most lines, experimental in his characterization, energized every day. Mr. Nelson, the director, exclaimed, quote, "What an unforgettable, polished, moving performance he gave in this senior play," end quote. He is capable of a similarly moving expression of leadership every single day in homeroom as he leads the class of 2021. Their perennially elected president, he has an unusual, precocious way of walking the fine line between getting the job done and sometimes appearing to be a company man, and honoring the idiosyncratic and occasionally oppositional qualities of his classmates. He is a catalyst, however, and I am so sorry to miss what I know would have been a tradition-setting version of May Day. Our winner began preparations for that in January. He is organized and responsible, and he has other things as well. Principally, he is a young man of unassailable character, boundless goodwill, and invincible reliability. It was he, on behalf of his fellow class presidents, who persuaded me to consider adjusting the weekly schedule with more late starts, as well as advocated for greater feedback from students about the health and wellness curriculum. This is but a soupçon of the plentiful ways in which this young man demonstrates leadership. And how rare that someone his age could be so effective and liked as well as respected. This is a leader extraordinaire. For all these reasons and plenty more, the Harvard Book Award goes this year to Benjamin Harding Crawford. Now comes a time in our program when we say goodbye to treasured members of the community who are leaving us. Thanks to their endurance, loyalty, and commitment, very few adults move on from RL each year. We are the better for that continuity. Ms. Visori Moretta. Ms. Moretta came to us in the fall of 2018 as a member of our second full-fledged fellows class. Along with Mr. Chris Brown, she constituted a hopeful contingent destined to have a positive impact on this place, and what an impact she has had. A Roslindale native and distinguished Holy Cross grad. Yes, we know Mrs. O'Brien. Yes, we know Senor Ryan. Ms. Moretta came to us with sterling recommendations and an impressive education. Regardless of what someone has experienced already, no matter who you are, to take on classes of energetic, occasionally frisky adolescent boys can be a formidable assignment. Thanks to her confidence, talent, style, and maturity, however, that was never a problem. Indeed, from the get-go, she has fostered a classroom spirit that daily affirms that teacher and students are on the same side. As is true of all our fellows, Ms. Moretta has artfully and gracefully managed her numerous duties of teaching and coaching alongside the demanding work of a graduate program at Penn. The first year, Signor Ryan was her mentor, and this year her mentor was Signor Solis. I expect that the excellent work of both teachers has rubbed off on her, but I am sure that these seasoned teachers would admit that Miss Moretta taught them as much as they taught her. And so has she positively affected the rest of us. She is a passionate, committed teacher, eager always for her charges to succeed. In her effective work as an assistant fourth basketball coach, and on behalf of our debate program, Ms. Moretta always conveys both a firm and friendly approach. And now she leaves to teach Spanish and coach at St. Mark's School. Our loss is their gain, as the Winged Lions will doubtless benefit from Ms. Moretta's talents, kindness, care, energy, and sense of humor. I hope that you will take a bit of Roxbury Latin with you to Southborough, even as I know that you will leave behind many boys made better by your impressive work and colleagues who value your deep friendship. Thank you. We wish you well. Mr. Mike Lawler. We certainly have seen plenty of St. Sebastian's arrows over the years, evil, piercing implements for felling their beloved patron, St. Sebastian. What they did not know 2 years ago was that the favorite projectile of Mr. Mike Lawler, then an eager English teacher, coach, and college counselor there, was the boomerang, because like a bad penny, he came home to his second home, Roxbury Latin. Mr. Lawler, as a student, was plenty impressive and a bit of a rascal. In part, that was why many of us liked and admired him. I hope that many of you will consider becoming teachers, and I thought the same about him. Sure enough, after an adequate collegiate experience, he went into teaching. And 2 years ago, when we needed to fill the gap in college counseling left by Dr. Stevens' retirement, I turned to Mr. Lawler to see if he might be interested in returning to alma mater. And so he did, to widespread and lasting effect. In encouraging him to join us, I was quite confident that Mike Lawler could do a great job of college counseling, and also, given his own impressive exploits as an athlete, be a fairly good coach. What surprised me on that day he interviewed in the spring of 2018 was the junior English class I saw him teach. He is a terrific teacher, creative, clear, deft. Unlike too many young teachers I know, he surely did not merely mimic the teaching that he had received, but took it to different places and utilized different techniques. His interest in the art and science of teaching led Mr. Chappell and me to ask him to be the assistant director of the Penn Fellows Program. In that role, he has not only shepherded well our talented quartet, but collaborated with directors from among the other 10 schools in the consortium and advanced our thinking about professional development generally. In the fall, Mr. Lawler served as a knowledgeable, inspiring assistant coach of the varsity football team. And in the spring, he taught our youngest athletes how to play lacrosse on behalf of the junior lacrosse team. Several of you seniors and some of you juniors have been the beneficiaries of his college counseling. He is a wise, conscientious conduit for his counselees. Even as he skillfully makes the transitions for boys to leave the school, so too does he do the same in his admission work for boys to come to us. Mike Lawler represents the promise of a great schoolman, multi-talented, energetic, innovative. Now he goes off to Westminster School, a place that spawned the student Josh Service and the teacher Arturo Solis. Mr. Lawler will be closer to his wife's family and enter that English department as Mr. Service's father, Michael, its longtime chair, retires. We thank you, Mr. Lawler, for your good work in our midst, and we wish you well. Mr. Josh Wilds. When Josh Wilds came to us 8 years ago, he was a fairly wet behind-the-ears teacher-coach with a few good years under his belt at Salisbury School, a boys' boarding school in Northeast Connecticut. In attracting him to RL, I promised him no more dorm duty and stuck to that promise. During his time here, Mr. Wilds has had a wonderful impact on the students in his math classes, his advisees, and especially the athletes whom he has coached. His students will vouch for the fact that his easygoing style takes much of the stress out of learning difficult math concepts. They nonetheless end up learning a lot and remain enthusiastic about the discipline. Mr. Wilds' wrestlers will speak glowingly of his effective, supportive approach to their achievement on the mat. An impressive high school and collegiate wrestler himself, Mr. Wild seems to know just the right mix of technique and psychology to employ. He gets the most out of his athletes, and they feel happy to work hard, often even going up against beasts who will prove difficult, because they correctly sense that Mr. Wild believes in them. During his 8 years at the helm, his teams have amassed a 132 wins, 32 losses, 1 tie dual record. That's an impressive 800. And in his 8 seasons, he earned, and his team did 4 times runner-up distinction in the Graves Kelsey. Understandably, in 2017, Mr. Wilds was named Massachusetts State Prep Coach of the Year. The first year that Mr. Wilds was hired, I had planned for him to assist for 1 year Mr. Steve Ward, a legendary coach who had presided over our RL wrestling for 40 years. That, however, was not to be, because immediately sensing his young successor's winning style and approach, Mr. Ward gladly ceded the head coaching spot to him, and the great Steve Ward served as Josh Wilds' assistant. Now Mr. Wilds returns to the only school that I think could draw him away from Roxbury Latin, his own alma mater, Pomfret School. There he will be closer to his family, teach math, coach wrestling, and once again, get used to it, Josh. You'll be heading a dorm. Thank you for all that you have meant to us, and Godspeed. Of all those to be celebrated today, there's no group more deserving of our praise and recognition than the class of 2020. On Saturday, these 52 boys will, if all goes well, receive their RL diplomas. The awarding of these diplomas will affirm for these boys that they have run the race well, that they have completed the course. There are many in this group who have distinguished themselves by the world standards. They have gained admission to a host of impressive colleges. But for me, what is most memorable about this group is the effect that they have had all together. Like the best graduating classes, they have come to appreciate each other's gifts, valued each other's friendship, and forged ties that cannot be severed. They have often cooperated well with the adults who loved them, but were occasionally seen as unreasonable, and they offered respectable examples of caring and leadership that underclassmen ought to have noticed and should seek to emulate. They showed special devotion to individual members of the class who were experiencing all sorts of challenges. They rolled with the punches this year when they endured plenty of disappointments and moved on to alternative solutions. They were responsible for galvanizing school spirit. They love each other and they love their school. Given where they started and how they occasionally stumbled along the way and how their numbers slightly shrunk, we are pleased by how they've turned out. Seniors, we will miss your enthusiastic approach, your goodwill, your reassuring senses of humor, and your refreshing investment in the mission of our school. You taught underclassmen how to be leaders. You led various forums and asked provocative questions in hall, and you guided your 60 little brothers. Of course, the work is still not done, but mainly we like what we see. To the class of 2020, whom I will salute more completely on Saturday, goes my admiration, my thanks, and my highest hopes. And how bad I feel that all of the affirming celebrations that should have marked your impressive journey through the school have necessarily been altered or eliminated. However terrific these events usually are, they pale in comparison to why we held them, to recognize who you have become as scholars and people, and to send you off into the world smarter, kinder, stronger, more resilient, more patient, more hopeful. That we acknowledge and that we do, nonetheless. At the conclusion of this hall, intended to celebrate the year just past, I need to assert again my deep admiration and gratitude for how this whole community has responded to the generational challenge of this pandemic. In the Smith Theater on Wednesday, March 11th, after being delighted by the robotics team's wacky and wonderful culminating War of the Robots, I dismissed you one day early for spring break. The awfulness we sensed then has come to pass. The COVID pandemic has challenged the world to stay healthy and safe, to offer care to the millions who became sick, to bury the 100,000 in our own country who died, including some of your grandparents, to imagine new ways to be productive and new ways to signal our humanity. In a climate of unparalleled uncertainty and understandable fear, we as a national community have found ways to prevail, but nothing Americans have done, especially since there is such disagreement and such animus and such ideology in politics when there should be science and prevention and healing. Nothing Americans writ large have done can match the solidarity, the sensibility, and the strength of what you all have done. Often in what we learn about, either through literature or history, we encounter people who rise to the occasion, people who, despite prevailing despair, nurture hope. You have understandably been so disappointed, beginning with canceled spring break trips to Austria and Quebec City, to the spring athletic season, to the senior concert, to the junior play, to senior dinner. You have been confronted with the taking away of anticipated pleasures. Because we are a place that fosters both grit and grace, you sucked it up. You showed your resilience, your willingness to reimagine a kind of school radically different from anything we've ever done before. You didn't whine. You stepped up. You didn't blame. You did your part. I understand it has not been easy being cooped up. Every day the same, Groundhog Day. Your family members 24/7. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. You have been impressively collaborative. You have been optimistic when nothing we know or feel would signal that was appropriate. How much there is to be grateful for resilience, for problem solving, for flexibility, for faith, for solidarity. We are all in this together, I said early on, and indeed we were. Thank you, first of all, to my colleagues who, despite immense personal sacrifice, put our students first. Even in homes where they were challenged to care for their own children, your teachers, disciplined, committed, found a way to keep your curriculum going. We all tried to remind us of the important elements of our community: halls, homerooms, advisor meetings. Not the same, of course, but important reminders nonetheless of what bind us together. Thank you to all of you, the estimable students of the Roxbury Latin School. In conditions less than ideal, you did what you could, not just to get your own education, but even in these weird Zoom boxes, to contribute to the education of our classmates. The skills, the approaches, the attitudes, the resolve, the strength, the empathy, the seriousness of what you've learned over the past 10 weeks, what you've internalized, could not have been taught any other way. This crisis inspired us. However hard this has been, however challenged we have felt, however confusing it might have seemed to know and then to realize what it meant to be our best selves, we have. Our year started with quite a bit of 375th anniversary hoopla. We heard about and celebrated our history, our distinctive history. T-shirts, a homecoming party, panels, speakers, building beds, cupcakes, neckties, commemorative paintings, a carillon, banners, flags, books. We wanted to end it with a big party and to write the last chapter of the story of this festive year celebrating. We were forced to write another chapter, however, one I contend is yet more glorious, for it affirms that this school, our school, is great, not because it's old, not because it's continuous, but because it's real, because it's dynamic, because it recreates itself, because it's good. We are the school, this school, and we all should be glad and proud, not for the year we were handed, but what we made of it. And now the hour has come. The clock has tolled the inexorable chime that signals the end of this grand old school's 375th year. We are now part of its storied history. We have done our part. And together we have learned and grown, been disappointed and affirmed, developed deeper understandings of ourselves and a keener commitment to the world in which we live, and forged friendships that will last a lifetime. Never again will all of us be gathered in this way or in Ruminier Hall. Never again will Class 1 occupy the seats of honor at the front of the room, nor will the class of 2025 occupy the distant seats of 6C heaven. This is our moving up and our moving out. Let us savor the moment. Let us remember our time together and our associations one to another fondly. Let us forever be loyal to Roxbury Latin and the mission for which it stands. O Roxbury, old Roxbury, ever dear since the days of long ago, may the luster of thy glory through thy children ever brighter grow. And now let us pray. O God, who has given us the gift of this school, make us grateful for our common association, for the lessons learned and the friendships made. Help us to put our talents and our passions to good uses and to be ever mindful of those who have less, of those who need more. Look especially kindly on this class, the visionary class of 2020. They are promising, faithful, hopeful young men perched on the brink of new challenges, of new adventures. Keep them open to different ideas and strengthen them forever as they pursue noble, selfless lives. Remind them always of that which is right and good and beautiful, and bolster them with the reassurances that are evinced by their association with this old school and its eternal values. Remind them that they are forever part of this generative community. Keep them close to their school. For the rest of your sons, give them days of unfettered opportunity, of venturing forth and finding out, of play and pleasure, of new friendships begun and of old friendships deepened. Keep them safe from harm. Let them walk in your light, and return them to us come August 31st, restored, refreshed, raring to go, and eager to celebrate RL's 376th year. Keep the rest of us in your sight as well, as so many masters and staff themselves wander far from this place. Lead them to new, exciting discoveries and renew their commitment to serving the boys of this old school. And now, for the last time this year with your moms and dads and your brothers and sisters and your favorite pets, let us share the symbol of our brotherhood and sisterhood. Let us share a handshake of gratitude and of hopefulness. Let us pass the peace. Congratulations on a terrific school year, and have a wonderful summer.
Talks